A lot of people found the ending to Murder Drones rushed, and it is, but I think this strangely works in its benefit in the final episode. Let me start off by saying that Murder Drones has always had problems with telling its story. The plot isn't well explained. Sometimes important information is thrown at the viewer so quickly that it doesn't register and you have to re-watch or read a Reddit summary to understand what the heck just happened. And even then, a lot of fans don't know what's going on half the time. Personally, this hasn't been a big issue for me. I don't watch Murder Drones for the lore or amazing character development. I just find the show very endearing and fun. And so for me, episode 8 eclipses what I love most about it, and what I think the series does most well. Unlike the other episodes where being rushed and badly paced is a problem that doesn't seem noticed by the creators, this episode, the abruptness is definitely done on purpose, as it builds towards the absolute end of everything. A lot of this episode involves jokes where the characters interrupt the narrative, like when Uzi and her mother have their reunion interrupted by N. Narrative interruptions are an ongoing joke in the show, but especially here where the situation is getting out of control and forcing the characters to rush into things. In this episode more than others, the comedy is dialed up to 1,000, and as a result, it doesn't take the plot so seriously. In the fight between the gang and Sin, N jokes about a secret handshake, and later practices this with Uzi, while V and Sin fight to the death in the background. The nightcall music fades with their fight, as if N and Uzi have fully stepped out of the serious fight bubble for a moment, and while it's not quite fourth wall breaking, it still creates a disconnect between the serious plot and our characters, as they themselves don't take the events too seriously. While this can be jarring, I think it's a choice which serves the show's major themes quite well. Comedy in this episode gives our characters back some agency. If we think for a moment about the major theme of Murder Drones, which is about loss of control and losing oneself to a disease or virus, and the trauma that comes with that, we can consider episode 7, where our characters go through some of the most horrible experiences, including Uzi almost losing herself completely to the Solver's control. There's no going back in a sense. Things can't really get any darker for these characters after all they've experienced. And so comedy and separation from the serious narrative becomes their way of fighting back. Near the end of the episode, after N and V find Uzi, the camera zooms out to reveal we are watching pre-recorded footage, as Uzi gives a PowerPoint on the finale to her class. This frames the serious narrative we just watched as an audience as simply a memory on a PC file. Through comedy, these events are downplayed, shown in the use of the hero's journey and other jokes that Uzi has on her computer screen. We've skipped a huge amount of time, which, yeah, we can say is because the episode has to wrap up and doesn't have much time left, but on the other hand, the effect this has is to give Uzi more control over the story. Uzi is the one showing us these events on her PowerPoint, and when she scares the class and the show abruptly ends, it's funny, but it also places Uzi in charge of the narrative, just as she is now in charge of her powers. So comedy speeds up the story and gives our characters a sense of agency over the events. But we also get this moment.
That's my girlfriend!
The only interruption to the happy ending here is the sudden shot of Doll's corpse. It's a dramatic disruption. Throughout the episode, humour has been used to disrupt the serious, but here it's reversed for a single moment, as a serious moment that sits in the middle of a light-hearted scene. But because of its placement, Doll's body only becomes darkly humorous and intensifies the comedy because it's so out of place. However, I think this goes to show that the horrible events that affect the characters can only be controlled by separating them, quite literally placing them in their own scenes. This separation is shown in the post-credits scene where Sin speaks to Uzi. I really like the detail here of Uzi listening to the credit music on her headphones. It's as if the show ending is just one reality, and once again, like we saw with the iPod during Sin's fight, Uzi taking off her headphones shows there are two different narratives going on, the serious and the silly. Two different realities almost. The reality where the show has ended and is all happy, and then this version of events where Uzi has to live with Sin. As Sin tells her she would look great in a bow, Uzi slams her locker and finally ends the show on her own terms. Uzi again controls the narrative with a touch of comedy, taking back control from the serious. I don't think the episode wanted to answer all of the show's questions, so it makes jokes about the discontinuity. For me, this self-aware comedy really pulls it all together, despite the show's issues. Even if the rushed narrative was a result of having not enough time to finish the episode, it definitely gave the characters more control over the story, and it creates this interesting split between the dark and light nature of the show. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like to see more. I have one more video idea for Murder Drones that's going to be a bit longer than the two I've done here, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more, and tell me your thoughts on the final episode. Did it meet your expectations? Bye for now.